If you're tired after work, and you spend money to make life easier, this video is for you. Because there is a quiet financial leak most people never see. It doesn't look like a mistake. It doesn't feel irresponsible. And it never shows up as a big, scary expense. But over time, it costs more than rent, more than car payments, more than vacations. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what it is, why it works so well on your brain, and how much it's quietly costing you over your lifetime. And once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. Let me start with something simple. Last week, someone opened an app on their phone. They were tired. They didn't feel like cooking. They wanted food from a place a few minutes away. The meal itself wasn't expensive. But by the time it arrived, the total had doubled. Fees, markups, suggestions, a tip that felt socially mandatory. None of it felt painful in the moment, because the number didn't feel big. And that's the trick. This person isn't careless. They're educated. They earn good money. They understand logically that this isn't the best deal. But logic doesn't win here, because what they were really buying wasn't food. They were buying relief. They were buying the feeling of not having to do one more thing. And this is where the real problem begins. Because this wasn't a one-time choice. It wasn't a splurge. It wasn't even memorable. It was normal. And when something expensive becomes normal, it becomes invisible. Here's the part most people miss. This isn't about food delivery. It's not about groceries. It's not about apps. It's about a hidden cost baked into modern life. A cost designed to target one specific human weakness. Mental exhaustion. Your brain is terrible at comparing effort now with money later. An inconvenience that happens immediately. Feels heavy. A cost that shows up as numbers on a screen. Feels abstract. So your brain chooses the option that reduces discomfort now. Even if the math is terrible long term. Not because you're lazy. Not because you're bad with money. Because you're human. And entire companies are built around that fact. They are not selling convenience. They are selling relief from friction. They are charging you to avoid small discomforts at prices that would sound ridiculous if you ever slowed down enough to calculate them. And they're betting you won't. Because stopping to calculate is itself inconvenient. Let's slow this down and look at the pattern. Once you pay for convenience in one area, your tolerance for friction drops. Picking up food starts to feel annoying. Cooking feels exhausting. Walking through a store feels like a chore. Not because those things changed, but because your baseline changed. What used to feel normal now feels like effort, and effort starts to feel expensive. So you pay to avoid it again. This is how the leak grows. Not through big decisions, but through small ones repeated over and over. Food delivery twice a week. Groceries dropped at your door. Pre-cut ingredients. Same-day shipping. Subscriptions that remove thinking from buying. Each one feels minor. Together they form a lifestyle tax. And here's the uncomfortable part. Most people tell themselves they're paying for time. But that's rarely true. When you save 30 minutes by ordering instead of picking up, you don't turn that time into money. You scroll, you watch something, you rest, which means you didn't trade money for productivity. You traded money for slightly different leisure. That's not time arbitrage. That's emotional spending. And emotional spending compounds quietly, because no single purchase feels serious enough to stop. This is where the math becomes dangerous. Let's be conservative. Imagine someone pays an extra few dollars here, $10 there, $20 to avoid small tasks. Over a month, that adds up to a few $100s. Nothing dramatic. Over a year, it's several thousand. And over decades, that money doesn't just disappear. It loses the chance to grow. Money you spend today doesn't just leave your account. It gives up everything it could have become. And when you run those numbers forward, the cost isn't uncomfortable. It's shocking. Hundreds of thousands of dollars gone quietly, in exchange for avoiding mild effort. This is why this system works so well. It doesn't make you feel reckless. It makes you feel justified. You worked hard. You're tired. You deserve ease. And that story feels reasonable. But the money doesn't care about the story. It leaves either way. What makes this worse is how quickly convenience becomes a dependency. The first time feels optional. The 10th time feels normal. Eventually, the alternative feels unthinkable. Companies know this. That's why apps remove friction. Why buttons are one click. Why prices are broken into small, forgettable pieces. They don't want you deciding. They want you reacting. Because once convenience becomes automatic, it can be priced aggressively. And it is. The cruel irony is that the people who can least afford this tax often pay it the most. Long hours, mental exhaustion, limited options. Convenience steps in as a short-term relief. That creates long-term pressure. It makes hard lives slightly easier today, and much harder tomorrow. So what do you do with this? You don't need to reject convenience entirely. That's unrealistic. The goal isn't perfection. It's awareness. Because once something is visible, it loses power. The first step is to see the total. It's not one order, not one fee. The pattern. Look at a few months of spending and identify every place where you paid more. To avoid effort, most people are stunned by how large the number becomes. The second step is to reintroduce friction. Not as punishment, but as protection. Make convenience require a pause, an extra step, a moment to think. Because impulsive spending feeds on speed. The third step is reframing. Inconvenience is not suffering. It is effort that keeps your money. Walking to pick up food isn't a loss. It's $15 staying in your account. Cooking isn't a burden. It's control. Once you see inconvenience as an investment, the equation flips. The question stops being, how do I avoid this? And becomes, is this effort worth the money? Most of the time, the answer is yes. Right now, you probably don't see yourself as someone making expensive financial mistakes. You see yourself as someone navigating a busy world. But there is a system designed to turn your tired moments into profit. Every time you reach for ease, something is waiting to charge you for it. It's not loudly, quietly, and years from now, when people wonder why their money never went as far as expected. This will be part of the answer. Invisible, normalized, forgotten, until now. If this changed how you see everyday spending, hit like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.